Victor, greetings. We haven't seen each other for a week. It's time to resume our interesting conversations. The trade war initiated by Trump has been going on for quite some time now. How do you think it has already affected the markets, and what has been impacted the most?
Yes, greetings to you, Anton. Glad to see you again. Let's continue our conversation about the economy, the markets, and so on. What's happening? Well, yes, the trade war. It's clear that these guys are really going at it, not joking around at all. There's some serious action going on here. Basically, it's a battle, some kind of, right? And we can already see how the markets are reacting. Volatility has increased significantly. We see a certain people's desire to move towards safer assets, gold, silver, potentially the Swiss franc. I don't know. There are many safe assets to find. It's interesting.
And the dollar, the US dollar.
The US dollar too. But if you look even closer, it would be gold, right? After all, gold is winning. And if we compare it to other fiat currencies, of course, it's most likely going to be the dollar, especially since we can see how tariffs will affect the US economy. They will start developing their industry. It's pretty obvious if it's expensive there and we need to make it cheaper, then we have to produce it in the country. So there will be work on domestic industry. And this, again, is good for the dollar.
Well, I see that at least initially, the Canadian dollar suffered. They definitely took a hit. But there was also a trap for the bulls right away. Even before they agreed to postpone for a month the tariffs. Oh, it was still bought up. The decision to postpone only added to the desire to buy it up. And I think we are witnessing that right now. A trend reversal. For the Canadian dollar, it has already dropped quite a bit.
So you think it will strengthen?
I think in any case, while we wait this month to see how they will negotiate, I believe it has every chance to recover. No, but just look, you see, it's basically, essentially, if you compare it to the American dollar, it's practically at its highs in comparison. So in technical terms, it's ripe for a good correction. So we see quite a healthy situation. And gold, of course, yes. But what surprises me the most, again, is the DAX. Look, it's hitting new highs, pushing even further. They keep buying it up. But who is buying it up? I don't get it.
Moreover, by the way, Tesla cut sales by about 60% in Europe. I think there was supposed to be a report like that, right?
Yeah, even Tesla.
Yes. And still we see that something, but Tesla's stocks, they're falling, right? And the DXY is rising, so I'm also very interested in watching this. But the DXY trend is clearly upward. There haven't been any reversal moments. If you look at it technically, I definitely wouldn't sell there. Fundamentally, yes, it looks weak, but you also need technical confirmations for that. In my opinion, it's an obvious upward trend.
What do you think about Bitcoin? Not even Bitcoin, but Eric Trump's of Ether the other day, which in principle didn't really help that Ether much.
They're playing the long game. I believe that it's not just Eric Trump who came up with this, so to speak. He's still under his dad. Whatever his dad says, he'll go along with it. So, no, he's not an independent person at all. And Trump, I think, was actually put in the position of president. As a person who will lead the transition from fiat money to digital money, so he will do everything to make that transition. Eric Trump, that's confirmed further by trade wars. They affect the market, creating turbulence, instability, and confusion. So what about fiat money, where to invest? And here they will come up with, or have already come up with, their own 10. Yeah, I don't know what this 10 will be called. And right now, in fact, this is a digital currency of the bank. And most likely the American one, it will be the main one. Yes, it will be found. I have no idea what it will be called. But The fact that he will most likely lead this transformation and he will continue to create this turbulence. And this year, I think it's going to be an extremely volatile market with possible crashes everywhere you can imagine, instability. And that's the scenario I see for 2025. For now, and cryptocurrency, most likely it will be winning, as the transition will be specifically to digital assets, but not all of them. What do you think, for example, about cryptocurrency? What are your prospects?
Well, you see, if we look at it from a technical perspective, and even in some fundamental sense, I'm feeling quite anxious about Bitcoin. Basically, there's a pretty healthy consolidation and so on. But look, up until today, there's no specific information from Donald Trump regarding any kind of bills that are already should be implemented. No matter what anyone says, it can't even hold above 100,000. This is already a worrying moment. That doesn't mean you should sell it off immediately and so on. They are in a phase of quite healthy, normal consolidation, in my opinion. But still, we need to pay attention to the fact that so far, none of the factors have influenced the market to reach new highs or to have confident buying. But in any case, I believe that any dip at this stage is an opportunity to buy.
You know that,
I can't, this uncertain future.
I was talking about cryptocurrencies like transitional moment. So this is already a long-term future. And Bitcoin, of course, is long-term. An asset like Ethereum, that's why it's being promoted. This is still a long-term investment type asset. As for the correction in Bitcoin, I certainly cannot predict the future. But we can see that it already looks like a double top at 108,000. Yes, there are signs of weakness. I would say it's already 50-50. The likelihood of a correction, most likely the market will continue to be volatile for now. I don't see a clear signal that the market is going to go down. But if it does go down, we could reach 65-75. This will be a new kind of, at least for some kind of global growth again.
Yes, of course, that's a reason to buy. But the main point is that, again, I'll go back to Eric Trump. Ethereum didn't really help him. This thing, I just read in the news about 20 minutes ago, he said that now is the best time to buy Bitcoin. And we see that just about 15-20 minutes ago, he was asking about it again a little bit. So it seems that Eric Trump is a good indicator for selling cryptocurrency.
Yes, there are a lot of good indicators like that who say one thing, but we understand that it is the same thing again. Manipulation. If someone talks a lot about a certain coin, some great people, so to speak, then usually it's the opposite. You need to unload on someone, but that doesn't mean it's a turning point. The trend does set the direction, yes, but we shouldn't hope that Bitcoin will start rising right now. This is still for investing. And, this is the one, a stable trading strategy for cryptocurrency is just averaging Bitcoin. Nothing better has worked for anyone so far, right?
Given that averaging itself is quite a risky strategy, layout, when I first started trading, there was practically no information. And what came to mind, I bought this, it dropped, so I'll add more somewhere in the middle, I was just thinking along those lines myself, but I'll tell you, it didn't really work for that long, basically. Then with such averaging, it gets pretty tough. I got caught, and that's it. Honestly, I don't like this topic.
I understand what you're talking about, but you're probably talking about averaging from a trading perspective. And I say averaging from the point of view, long-term investing, 10 years.
Yes, real money. Averaging is not about margin trading. It's about real money. When you have 100,000, let's say, you buy a quarter of a Bitcoin now, then when it drops, you add more. When it drops, you add more. Of course, it works. We see it, and I think it will continue to work
Of course, there will be market sell-offs and there will be drops of up to 50%. Well, we see that with altcoins. It's possible that Bitcoin will drop by 50%. Most likely it will. Yeah, after all, it's a high-risk asset. So basically, Bitcoin looks up for now. But guys, it's not worth it to expect any astronomical prices. If it does go up, I think we really need to set very conservative targets at this stage.
As I said, it's concerning here, the technical inability to hold on, to update the highs, to hold above 100, and the inability to grow even in some, let's say, in bullish comments or in the throw of Eric Trump and so on. They're already starting to work. On the contrary, all of this, here, maybe.
You know, by the way, Anton, the first signs of an alt season are when Bitcoin drops and altcoins rise. Well, yes, will we see that now?
Finally, is this scenario a good argument against an alt season? In what sense? Again, I don't remember. I think we already discussed this. What happened when alt seasons occurred? If we go back, there was Bitcoin, Litecoin, Bitcoin Cash, and so on, Ripple, and all that, which is now considered the main coins. And now you open the exchange, and there it is. So what should we end up buying?
I realize that it's stupid. There won't be enough liquidity for it to happen.
That's what I'm talking about. Back then, what else was working to a significant extent? Why did Bitcoin drop while Litecoins and others like Ethereum were rising?
Because they needed to minimize the amount for stimulation.
Through cross rates, because they were selling Bitcoin, selling it for dollars, selling it for Ether, selling it for this and that, naturally. Then, if you look at history, then when Bitcoin was falling, Ether in the cross rose quite well with it. It was then that these concepts of anti-seasons and so on were really formed, but right now it's questionable. In my opinion, I wouldn't rush to count on that. Basically, maybe if we take some of the main ones, again, returning to Litecoin and so on. I mean, our old ones, the more conservative ones.
I don't think we'll ever see an alt season like the one we got used to. It will be on just 2 or 3 coins. That's all. As we saw, Fidera, Solana.
What are the promising ones, really?
Yes, there will be these alt seasons, but it will be 2, 3, 4, 5 coins at most. There won't be enough liquidity. So it's worth getting ready for some minor movements. So they will be about 10 times less than the average across the board. It won't be X10. If we do X1, X2, it will already be a new alt season. So the market they won't be able to move as widely as they used to, simply because there's not enough liquidity for all the coins.
An ordinary, so to speak, user, I go to the exchange, I won't name any, and you look at what to choose, right? Which of these altcoins is actually promising given the huge list of them?
Yes, that's probably the main problem for investors right now. Because go ahead and try to analyze this pile. Yes, you can use artificial intelligence for this, but it's still a challenge.
And many, if you look at the charts, it's pretty clear. You can see this standard pattern: pump, crash, pump, collapse, pump, crash.
Manipulation. Clean.
Is there a desire to buy? If there's going to be a crash here anyway, if we take a somewhat primitive logic, then just catch the pump and sell. So what kind of alt season should it be?
But, what's the problem? In the psychology of that time where the Altseason was, it remained. It did not go away. That is the majority of people. They are still waiting for a repeat X10, X100, Altseason, because once upon a time, someone, somewhere, someone heard they did 100,000 with $1,000, and people do not know how to adapt. That's the problem. They don't understand that they shouldn't expect that. There won't be an Altseason like that anymore. He will be completely different, and you need to constantly adapt to the markets, to the situation.
I think we need to give 100% recommendation here on any alto, at least not one of the popular ones, so to speak, already, which have a certain popularity. Yes, they have settled down, as they say, not to hold. The main principle should be buy. If you want to work on the pump, buy, set your stop loss, and that's it. The main thing is to get out in time. Well, okay, I think we've just discussed the most interesting points. Yeah, right.
I still see the energy sector, but for some reason, it seems like it should go. I'm really curious. By the way, I wanted to ask you at the end, what do you think oil, gas, where? Why? I have a purely bullish outlook. Uranium, oil, gas, I don't know, technically.
Here, if I start with the fundamentals now, that's what I love the most. I'm so used to it, so to speak. Oil, in my opinion, will now largely depend on the production capabilities of the US. After that, after the restrictions are lifted, so it means how much they will be able to capture the market with this oil, with the same gas, yeah, and so on.
Judging by Europe, they're doing it very successfully.
That's what I'm talking about. If it goes such a significant spike, yeah, in sales, then of course we'll see a drop. But it's not beneficial for the Americans either. They also have a limit, yeah, for oil production, for profitability. Well, when it just becomes unprofitable and they start shutting down those mines in Texas and everything, that's how it is. So everything will be fine here. But in any case, a drop is an opportunity for long-term buying. There won't be a collapse like we had during COVID.
By the way, I read that many experts predict similar movements to what we saw during COVID, but I think they will be much bigger. In which direction?
There is no more room for oil if it reaches zero. Where else can it go?
Well, yes. From 140 to zero to negative. How much did oil drop there? You could have taken it. They would have even given you money.
Just imagine, those tankers didn't make it in time. They should have quickly grabbed them to hedge.
And they would have even given you a ship as a gift, right?
Yeah. And I was pushing for margin trading, for buying.
Anyway, I think it will be a year dangerous. It will be risky. It will be very, very volatile, unstable. But from a trading perspective, I think it's an interesting year. That's interesting. It's going to be tough. For trading, it's going to be very, very interesting.
Let's say that under Biden, everything was conservative and clear. And accordingly, the markets were sleepy, drowsy.
And here the devil popped out of the box in the form of a trap, right?
Yes. The only thing here, of course, is that as far as his words will be made...
No one knows. We only see the facts of what's happening, but even his words still carry weight.
Well, you understand, people are getting used to everything that's happening, right? And they will perceive even what has been said that way.
So there will be news every time, right? Raising the stakes.
It's not like it used to be, like 20 years ago. I don't even remember exactly how Greenspan was, right? As soon as he opened his mouth, it was like buzz, 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 everything. You're sitting there not knowing where to go, what to do. It's definitely not the same time anymore.
Yeah, everything is changing. Everything is very interesting. I like it. By the way, regarding the Canadian dollar, I decided to tell you, you see, the strengthening of the dollar, but for some reason I still see it falling. It's interesting that we have different opinions. I think it's really cool that we don't agree on everything. But for now, let's say I see a good opportunity for the Canadian dollar to drop again. But then a rise is possible. For now, there's uncertainty. This will be, hanging in the air about the tariffs.
Now we're going to take a look This support, from what I can see, is around 80, somewhere around that area. If they break through, it might even go down to the psychological level, and 1 in 4, that's me.
I think we can go and
No, I mean, there's a correction happening right now. There could definitely be a little drop.
well, pay attention to the Canadian dollar. There is a lot of support here. That's a psychological level like this. I would definitely keep an eye on it. It will be important, especially the weekly close. If it goes lower, then yes, there will be a prospect for further correction towards the moving average somewhere. But for now, there's no confirmation of that. So for now, I remain bullish on the Canadian dollar. So bearish on the Canadian dollar itself.
Well, maybe, but right now it feels a bit uncomfortable. We're still close to the highs. But we'll live and see. In any case,
no one knows how it's going to be. Yeah. I'm really interested when opinions differ. And I want to express the opinions of other experts, what they expect and why.
truth is born from debate. Well, even though we're not arguing, we're exchanging ideas.
Yes, in discussion.
Truth is born from exchange.
The main thing is not to shut yourself off from new information, but to absorb everything like a sponge and use what you need.
Yes. Well, all right. Well, we talked.
Yes, it was very nice.
I'm very grateful.
I'm grateful in return. I hope we continue this literally next week, maybe even at the beginning, because, yeah, we have a nightmare going on with Trump here. I think the markets will continue to be volatile. It will be very interesting, a lot of trading opportunities, unlike, for example, the end of last year, when everything was practically at a standstill. Now there will be big movements.
There will be plenty to discuss, I'm absolutely sure. And those who I didn't subscribe, so make sure to subscribe. Stay tuned for every episode. It will only get more interesting from here.
It's going to be hot, really hot.